What is going on, everybody? ZyoniK here, and in today's video, we are running a very strong, pretty fun team here. Shadow Poliwrath, Skarmory, and Drapion. Now, Shadow Poliwrath with Ice Punch and Scald actually does really good against this meta. I've been seeing a lot of Steel, a lot of Ground, a lot of Dragons, and a lot of Grass-type Pokemon, so that moveset is primed to do well in this meta, and that's exactly what it does today. We're pairing it with Skarmory and Drapion, both of which are very strong in the Open Great League. Alright, getting into the first battle here, we have Poliwrath on the lead versus Trevenant. So, not a good lead. We're going to swap out right away into Drapion, but since we do have Ice Punch, coming into that matchup later is going to be a bit more advantageous for us. Now, with Drapion, we do have Aqua here to help out against the likely Galarian Stunfisks and Bastiodons that may swap in. Because we do have a Poliwrath lead, it makes a lot of sense for them to bring in a Galarian Stunfisk. Now, I decided to shield the Rock Slide right here. I definitely don't think it was enough energy for an Earthquake, but I did that because I want them to be forced to drain their energy on Earthquake in order to take me out, because I will be able to get to two more Aqua Tails in time before they can throw that Earthquake, which is pretty crucial right here because we do now get a shield. So they're going to have to throw an Earthquake right here if they want to take me out, which is going to be perfect for Poliwrath to farm down, but instead they go for a Rock Slide. This is actually going to allow me to get to one more Aqua Tail, and it's going to be a very close race to see if we can take out the Galarian Stunfisk, because I don't think this is going to be enough damage. Yeah, barely not enough right there, and they do get to another Rock Slide, so that's fine. We're going to come in with Poliwrath and farm down. Now, granted, I'm not going to get as much energy as I was hoping. I wish I would have had an Ice Punch ready to go. So what's likely going to happen in this situation is we're going to CMP tie, which is exactly what's happening right here. So I am going to go ahead and give up a shield, and then I will be throwing the Ice Punch. And then what I need to do on the next charge move is try to catch it on the Skarmory. That way we catch that resisted damage and drain the energy. So we're going to go ahead and load up, and I'm going to look to try to catch right now, but they hold it, and then they decide to swap into Shadow Drapion. This is actually, I think, a slight mistake on them. Had they thrown the Shadow Ball, they could have potentially taken me out. But, I mean, either way, I put them in a tough situation because the Crunch and Shadow Ball would have taken me out. But now I get to Brave Bird right here, which is always satisfying with a Skarmory when you can land it. Boom! One shots to the Drapion. And then Trevenant now is in a very tough situation. They are forced to throw energy right now in order to take this out. But do they have enough for double Seed Bomb? I think the answer is no. I think they're one fast move away, so I get to throw this Ice Punch right here, and that is going to be a good battle. Very well played. This is why Poliwrath, with the moveset that it does have, can do very well in this meta, right? You got Grass coverage, you got Altaria coverage, you got Galarian Stunfisk coverage. Now, Azumarill is the one thing I'm sure a lot of you were questioning, like, wait, what do you do against Azumarill? Well, firstly, we swap out straight into Drapion, and thankfully we did draw out a Diggersby. Again, another situation that this Pokemon that comes in is weak to water because we did lead with a Poliwrath, so we can just go straight for Aqua Tails right here. Now, when you face off against the Azumarill later on, which is exactly what's going to happen, Scald, even though it is resisted, is still going to do a decent chunk of damage, plus it has a chance to lower the attack, and the typing for us, I should say, sorry, with Poliwrath being water means we're going to resist those bubbles. Now, we just got to spam so many Aqua Tails right there that this is a beautiful situation for us. I'm actually going to go ahead and shield, and it was the Earthquake. I'm going to look to go for another Aqua Tail to see if I can get that final shield from my opponent. Seeing as I did shield the Earthquake correctly, this is a very advantageous situation for us to get two shields, which is perfect now. Now I'm going to let Drapion go down. It has done its job. It softened up the Diggersby. We go down to the Earthquake. Boom! Drapion goes down. But now Poliwrath can come in and just load up on energy. Now I need to be very careful about not getting hit with an Earthquake. So I actually have to throw the Ice Punch right here, right before they got to the Earthquake. Now, Azumarill is out of shields, and we're going to go ahead and load up on energy. You guys are going to see, we're going to swap now into Skarmory to see what else they have in the back, but they're deciding to stay in. And they have now built up enough energy for a Hydro Pump. So I'm actually going to go ahead and shield. I'm wondering if they're weak in the back. Maybe there's a Medicham in the back. We do shield the Hydro Pump correctly. And let's see what they decide to do. I'm going to keep loading up on energy. I'm not going for a Brave Bird here because we can survive Hydro Pump when they throw it if we don't go for Brave Bird. So we want to make sure we're only throwing Sky Attacks right here, as this is now going to be most likely another Hydro Pump. If we had thrown the Brave Bird, we would have actually been KO'd right there. So we do see it's actually a Skarmory in the back. So this is such a unique situation where, remember, I have banked energy on my Poliwrath, that Scald. And then I have 2 Sky Attacks that I can throw right here. And look at my switch clock. It is back up right now. So I have a Scald locked and loaded. It's neutral damage to a Skarmory, so we're going to risk it for that biscuit. We're going to swap right away and throw the Scald. This hopefully does enough neutral damage. Remember, Azumarill just threw the Hydro Pump, so it is out of energy. Boom! Skarmory goes down, and now Azumarill is the only thing left, and a Scald will KO from this range, and they decide to surrender, so that is going to be a good game, very well played. All right, moving next one, we got Poliwrath now versus Galarian Stunfisk. Okay, really positive lead here for us. We will see them swap out into Jumpluff, so we're going to go ahead and bring in that Skarmory to hard lock it down. So, right off the bat, I'm thinking this is probably a double grass team. It's either going to be Trevenant, Venusaur, or maybe Shadow Victory Bell in the back, as they did want to draw out the Flyer. And Acrobatics actually does a decent amount of damage in this matchup. So we're going to have to be careful. We're going to go ahead and throw the Sky Attack here. I don't want to take too much damage from Acrobatics because I don't want Galarian Stunfisk to farm me down. As if we get too low, they could actually just Mud Shot me down, which is the last thing that I want. I want them to throw energy. So we're going to let that last Acrobatics go through, and now we're going to farm down. So we're within a good range where Galarian Stunfisk is going to have to throw a Rock Slide to take us out, and it also allows us to go straight for Brave Birds because I don't want them... They could undercharge if they decide to, but I really don't want them to get lucky and like slightly undercharge and then be able to farm me down. So we're just going to go straight Brave Birds right here. Even though it is resisted, we're getting Galarian Stunfisk below 50% HP. And remember, we do have Poliwrath with Ice Punch, so if there is a second grass in the back, we can throw that Ice Punch to get ourselves shield advantage for Drapion. So we got to be careful to see what's back there. The Rock Slide is going to take us out. They're loaded on energy, so we're going to come in with the Poliwrath, and they decide to now go for the charge move here. I'm going to let it go. I don't need to shield the Earthquake in this situation because I'm hard reading Double Grass, and sure enough it is. I believe that is a Venusaur. I saw Poison Grass in the top right. I didn't catch the name. Well, I know what it is. It's a Venusaur. Well, we're going to go ahead and swap out into Drapion now. So this is going to be a very positive matchup for us. Crunch does neutral damage, and this is looking to be a good game. We still have a good amount of health on our Poliwrath to Mud Shot down. As well as having the spam with now Aqua Tail here against Venusaur, plus we do resist Frenzy Plants. Now, since we do resist it, that doesn't necessarily mean you gotta let these go through. Remember, the Galarian Stunfisk just threw an Earthquake, so I'm not too worried about that coming through. What I am worried about is making sure I am healthy enough to take out Galarian Stunfisk, because we're just gonna go ahead and go for Aqua Tail right here to take out the Venusaur. Now, we do have an Aqua Tail ready, and it's gonna be a close race to the next one. But what I need to do is be very careful. And in some of these situations when you know you win CMP tie, what I'm going to do here is swap into Poliwrath to try to catch the charge move. But I don't get it, which is fine, but I have CMP tie. It's guaranteed that I win since I do have Aqua Tail right here. So I was just making sure in case I was miscounting on their energy and they did have an Earthquake. So just securing the win right there. It looks a bit riskier, but it is a safe play. Good game. All right, moving to the next one, we got Poliwrath on the lead versus Azumarill again. Okay, so we're going to swap out right away into Drapion, and they're actually deciding to stay in. So this is a tell. First of all, we have to bait that it could be a Sludge Bomb. So we're going to throw the Crunch here. Even though it is resisted, we got to try to do that damage. My guess now, if Azumarill is staying in, what do you guys think is in the back? That's pretty common. Alolan Marowak and Sableye. There's the Alolan Marowak. So we're going to go ahead and go for Aqua Tail right now, because I'm hoping to get a shield bait showing that I did have Crunch, but they actually decide to no shield it. That's a big time call on their end, which is unfortunate for me because Bone Club here is going to be enough damage to take us out. So now we're in a tough situation. We do have Poliwrath here against Alolan Marowak, so I got to go for the Scald right away. I have no situation to over farm. But what I am reading is if there is a Sableye in the back, we could have some play. Now we do take Alolan Marowak out with the Poliwrath right there. And then now we will see Azumarill back into Poliwrath. And this is one of those situations where we got to go straight into Skarmory and start loading up on energy because they're not swapping out yet. So they've already shown they have Ice Beam. They threw that against Drapion. So I'm reading that this is just going to be another Ice Beam. Since they'd be Ice Beam Play Rough, and then we're going to go ahead and go for a Sky Attack. I think I should have loaded up just a little bit more with Skarmory before throwing the Sky Attack here because they are likely going to swap out, which they do. They now bring in the Sableye, but this is still a good situation considering we're probably going to get ourselves shield advantage right here with this Sky Attack, but No, they let it go through. I'm like, you have 2 shields. Air Slash now can close this game out. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to shield Skarmory. And then I'm going to catch the foul play here on Poliwrath. So I'm going to go ahead and throw one more Air Slash and swap to Poliwrath now to catch the charge move. Remember, Poliwrath is part fighting typing. So this is going to be a foul play, and it is resisted. And we still have a shield, and we have Mud Shot damage. So we can just completely farm down the Sableye right there. Now, if they had shielded Sableye, right, from the Sky Attack, we get to another Sky Attack, we throw it, we chunk the health. Poliwrath closes this game out either way because of the spam that we have with neutral damage with Ice Punch and Scald, because the Azumarill is far too low, and they do decide to surrender right there. So that is going to be, well, they didn't surrender, they just stopped. But yeah, that's going to be a good game. All right, moving to the next one. We got Poliwrath on the lead versus Nidoqueen. Okay, so pretty good lead matchup, and we see them swap out right away into Obstagoon. So I actually need to stay in this matchup right here because we have the potential in our moveset to have Dynamic Punch, which obviously will one-shot an Obstagoon. Now, they get the boost right there. So whenever an Obstagoon gets the boost, you know what they're going to do. They're going to throw up shields like no other. Plus, we have Drapion and Skarmory in the back, which can handle a Nidoqueen. So we go for the Ice Punch, we get the shield, and now we're going to go for the Scald here, hoping to get a second shield, but we don't, unfortunately, and they will take us out. So because there was a Nidoqueen lead and an Obstagoon, my guess is going to be another fighter or another dark in the back, which means the Drapion Skarmory combo here can actually work out pretty well, especially if it is a Scrafty. So we're going to go ahead and shield because this Night Slash, actually they went for Cross Chop instead, but Night Slash would have been a lot of damage since the Obstagoon is boosted. And then let's see what they decide to bring in. They decide to bring in Scrafty, which is interesting. I mean, either way, they're in trouble, right? Nidoqueen is only doing resisted damage. And I actually decide not to go for Brave Bird right here because I didn't want them to swap out and catch it on the Nidoqueen. So I go for the guaranteed super effective damage. That way Drapion has a much better time closing this game out. And they decide to swap into Nidoqueen to try to farm down. But since we do have Aqua Tail, we're going to be doing super effective damage. So this game now is all going to come down to correctly shielding Earth Power. If I can't do that, I'm going to lose. So, because if the Earth Power lands, it's over, right? So we got a shield right here, and it was the Earth Power, which is beautiful because that means it's going to be a good game. I will be able to get to 2 Aqua Tails here against the Nidoqueen. There is no way they get to another Earth Power in time. And then I believe since the charge move now is taking a long time to go, I think they decided to exit out of the game right there, which it is a good game. As you can see, Nidoqueen stopped doing damage, but that was the call by me. If that was a bait, right? If that was Poison Fang, I think I would have lost because the Nidoqueen would have taken out the Drapion, and then it would have been able to chunk down the Skarmory, and foul play from a Scrafty would have closed the game out. So that came down to a correct call right there, which sometimes it's a 50-50 bet, and you just gotta go with your gut instinct and just risk it for the biscuit. So we did, and that is going to be a good game. Very well played. This team performed extremely well. I was so satisfied with Poliwrath's performance. I think it's definitely highly undervalued for all the grass, ground, and steel type Pokemon that we see, especially all of the Altarias as well, because Ice Punch and Scald does so well against the meta. And like you guys saw today, I showed you guys 2 battles with Azumarill. It is very manageable with this team, especially if they are running a Alolan Marowak Sableye in the back. The Drapion can put a lot of pressure. Now, if you want to be a bit more safe against Azumarill, swap out Drapion's Aqua Tail for Sludge Bomb. You will give up a bit more pressure against the Galarian Stunfisks that come in, but you can still do a lot of damage with Crunch. But that Sludge Bomb really locks down those Azumarills if you guys need it. So, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. This team was a lot of fun to use. Highly recommend. And like always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.